Email in from Patricia. She said, I am a customer and am currently taking your Joint Essentials Plus and Supermune Essentials along with Zocor, Losartan, Toprol XL, Levothyroid, and Celebrex. Would I be able to add the Inflamove I've heard you talking about, or would there be any bad interactions with these meds? You mentioned interactions earlier.
Yeah. This is an interesting one, though, because it is somebody kind of in the middle that's doing both, that's doing supplements. You know, again, we don't see a ton of that, or if we do, they're a little quieter about it. But it is interesting that somebody is just open and honest up front about that they're trying to find this balance themselves.
So,
you know?
Okay, so can she do the Inflamove? Is there some reason she should or shouldn't? I don't know what all those are, all those other medications.
She can. You do want to be careful with Inflamove because it does have herbs for inflammation.
Okay.
So the Celebrex is an anti-inflammatory. The reason why it's okay in her case versus if she was doing more of an ibuprofen or an naproxen is because it's, I don't get too technical, but it's COX-2 selective. Okay. So it does not have the same platelet effects. So if she was taking XYZ and ibuprofen as an anti-inflammatory, caution, she's taking XYZ plus Celebrex, there's less of a concern. It's not 100%, but practically speaking, there's a lot less of a concern because Celebrex is in the new generation of anti-inflammatories. So in a nutshell, I'm sure Dante has some other things to add. I would say it's okay for that reason. But that's kind of the gray area that if she looked up Inflamove anti-inflammatory drugs or whatever, she could maybe find some things that didn't quite add up.
Is Joint Essentials Plus and Inflamove, are they the same thing? They're not the same thing because we have separate things.
No.
What do they do?
Joint Essentials Plus is primarily glucosamine and chondroitin. The plus part basically means it's got the main two ingredients in high amounts. Joint Essentials alone, and maybe these aren't named perfectly. We didn't know exactly what to call them. They're two different comprehensive joint products. Joint Essentials without the plus is glucosamine and chondroitin, but it's got the herbs for inflammation. So there would be technically some doubling up if she added Inflamove, but maybe not because there's not a ton of the herbs in Joint Essentials. But in general, it's much easier that she's on the plus because there's none of these herbs in there keep it clear. And in fact, if she was on Joint Essentials, I'd probably recommend she swapped for that reason. Because you can use the Inflamove a little more acutely. You can take, so it's got turmeric, kind of its main ingredient. You can take that ongoing. It's a great anti-inflammatory, great antioxidant. It's a great product, but you can kind of use the Inflamove if you'd like, maybe more after exercise or days when it hurts or nights when it hurts, etc. You can use it a little more as needed or acutely versus some other supplements.
Okay. Very, very cool. Did you have something you wanted to add?
I mean, I would say that pretty much covers it. There's still all NSAIDs, which Celebrex is considered like they no matter which one it is, they carry the same warning from a technicality aspect. So I would still be careful. I mean, at the doses of those herbs and of the turmeric that's in the Inflamove, I mean, they don't strike me that they're at such high doses that for anybody that it's a massive concern. But again, we're looking at averages, in terms of populations of people who are more or less likely to have a given effect. But I would be, find it a bit surprising if she had a history of, let's say, like ulcer disease or GI bleeds and such, that she would even be on an NSAID like this sort of routinely. But those are, again, for the listener who are in a close to a similar situation, which this is a very kind of common recipe of medications we see every day. And if there are others that hear this, just know that no matter what the NSAID is, it still carries sort of the same risk. And it's important to know what specific risk factors you might have. And just know that make sure your doctor knows all those things.
So it should be okay, but do pay attention.
For sure.
And if you're on high doses of any of those, that's the thing to really pay attention.
Still be careful, but she at least is technically on a lower end of risk relative to the ibuprofens. But yes, still absolutely be careful. Yes.
Yeah, and even the more I'm looking at it now, it's we can assume if she's asking about Inflamove, she's on the Joint Essentials, she may have some sort of osteoarthritis or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, it would be nice to be able to ask more questions and understand maybe more of some of the lifestyle things that she's doing, how she's sleeping, what does her exercise, what sorts of things, is she doing or not doing?
Right.
Is her current exercise routine a little bit more than she can handle at the moment? Did her doctor tell her something about her joints? Did she have an MRI, an X-ray?
Yeah.
Was there something that prompted this that I think that in conversation, we could always do a little bit better
Sure.
of answering?